So it's free money, so everybody who's going to know. When you read the document, there are certain companies that they are looking for strategic companies that will go into the production of sanitary pad. Companies that will go into the production of cereals. Companies that will go into the so mostly, if you look at the 24-hour economic the policy document, the strategic. So let me give you there's the strategic value chain, cereals and grains. So those who produce maize, rice, and millet, vegetables, tomatoes, onions, pepper, okra, oil seed, soybean, groundnut, oil palm, roots and tubers, cassava, yam, sweet potatoes, animal protein. So that is the page 27. Animal protein, those who are into poultry and fish, sugars, sugarcane and sugar beet, medicinal plants and spices. So these are the thematic areas that they are focusing on. They're also focusing on those who produce cement, concrete, clay-based products, steel, metal fabrication, and all that. Now, David, the question is that David Akwete is a broadcaster. He has seen this document. He's excited, want to go into it. If David wants credit, I don't see that in this document.
Have we even talked about power too?
No, it's been captured.
Power is
it's been captured.
So for power, what they will do is that.
So let me read that. Let me read that, but not. I'm going to put. So they have the incentives. And the incentive has to do with taxation and all that before the power bit comes in.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to summarize. It says significant incentives will be offered to private sector players. These include tax rebates of up to 50% for round-the-clock operations, import duty waivers, value chain lending facilities, and performance-based export support.
Pause there. Read that bit again.
Significant incentives will be offered to private sector players. These include tax rebates of up to 50% for round-the-clock operations, 24 hours.
So if you're doing a 24-hour operation,
and then
you are liable to
50%.
Let me expand on it. So
Okay.
then pause there. The 24 one means that if you do the 3 shifts based on the document, you give a 25% tax rebate. What it means is that if you're paying a corporate tax of 100,000, because you've rolled onto the 24-hour economic platform and you are doing 3 shifts, you're giving a 50% tax rebate, so you pay 50,000. What that means is that the 50,000 that the person has saved can be plowed back into the business, open more branches and employ people. If you do 2 shifts, you'll be given a 25% tax rebate. So if you are paying 100,000, as an example I use, you pay 75,000 and save 25,000. So that is what it means.
It talks about import duty waivers. So you're importing raw materials, things that you'd want to use for your businesses. You're going to get some waivers there. Value chain.
If you are not importing finished goods, but then reporting raw materials, production
and machinery.
Yes. Okay.
Value chain lending facilities. So we'll talk about the lending facilities in a bit, the funding bit. And then performance-based export support. You want to export, they're going to also support you. We'll talk about that shortly. But the bit you talked about, strategic projects under the initiative include the Volta economic blah, blah, blah. Then I want to get a place where it talks about electricity for you.
So the electricity, let me also see. So they talk about building a grid specifically for some of these projects, and also the net metering system.
But the reason I'm asking is, in Ghana, most production, the companies that do production, one thing that they complain about is
the cost of electricity.
Yeah. And when you compare our cost of electricity to other countries where they also do production,
David, so go to page 23. Bioenergy and byproduct innovation. So they said invest in green energy and value-added byproducts derived from agriculture and industrial waste. So they are going to use the agriculture and industrial waste from these people. Like when you go to Presec-Legon, the toilet that the students go to, they use it to produce energy. So they will use that. They will use green energy. So they will have their own grid system of a sort. Then also those who rely on ECG will be given a special dispensation when it comes to tariffs. So between 10 p.m.
and 6
a.m. So what they are doing is that they've divided the 24-hour economy this way: 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. 8 hours.
It's a peak hour time.
Yes, 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Another shift. Then 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So the production that happens between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. will have a special tariff dispensation. And under the 24-hour economy, when you go to most advanced countries, I actually thought Muhammad didn't get it right, but I actually read and it's true. Industries pay less tariffs compared to those who use our home domestics.
Because the point is, if you're producing more based on electricity, it will impact on how much you're pricing the goods that you're pricing.
Exactly.
So if you pay less power and you produce, you would also have at the back of your mind that, listen, let me keep the prices low that people can afford it. So it is good for me. I like that bit, but it should be targeted. It should be targeted.
So David, the point in there, and I know you are going there, is corruption.
Yeah.
And you're feeling
exactly.
Because David, the way we spend our money to discuss this, if they misbehave, we come here and do the same. Because David, you see, I feel that we didn't really pay attention to the 1D, 1F. We are only hearing it in speeches and didn't pay, because ask yourself, do you know, David, that we spent 3 billion at least CDs on planting for food and jobs?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
You know, we spent close to about 1.5 to 2 billion on 1D, 1Fs, through incentives. Erastus posted something on his Facebook. You get it from Joe, get it for me, about the companies were giving tax incentives to. What were the dividend? And that is the English word I always cite. Because you see, if David takes me to training as a producer on, let's say, legal matters, and I come back and basic court documents I'm not able to interpret for David, next time will you recommend me to go for another training? No. So if government has invested 3 billion planting for food and job, which they told us we're going to produce or maize, cereals and all that, and in that time we went to free a bro from ECOWAS, then it tells you that the 3 billion came to naught. So for me, David, brilliant point. The energy, you say you give people special meter, it will read less and all that, we agree. And yes, I meter na di kubo fee. We need to tell people that truth.
And Ghanaians as we are, we always want to take advantage of people. So you might be benefiting from, paying less in terms of power. But who put your production in here? Do you not be fair to this, policy that's being rolled out? We've spent some time on Grow Ghana.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Make Ghana.
Okay.
That's
so
also about